Mountaineer Paul back here with me at segment 2, Crack-a-Doo, as he always does on his show. And Mountaineer Paul, it's a good day to crack-a-doo for the Utah Utes because they are officially getting College Game Day. This is massive. And the first thing I want to say, like a couple weeks ago, I was really frustrated with College Game Day for not coming to Provo at the time, Utah BYU, the Holy War. I just was so frustrated, not just that they wanted to skip that game, but that they continued to do SEC Big Ten, and I should say like almost all SEC, and then one occasional top 10 Big Ten matchup. So the fact that they are coming to Utah, it's awesome. It's a great spotlight for the campus, and I'm really fired up that Utah gets to get spotlighted, and even more so fired up in some ways as a college football fan that they're going somewhere outside of an SEC school.
This will be your third appearance on game day, did you say?
In Salt Lake City, I believe so. Yeah, they've made it on a couple times. I think this will be Utah's third time hosting. They hosted back in 23, and I want to say 17 was the other time too.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I think a lot of people they probably underestimate how big game day is from a visibility standpoint. It's the pregame show and has been for decades now. And so there's a lot that goes into that. And here's the thing, you're not only is your city going to get a spotlight, but your stadium is going to get a spotlight. Your players are going to get spotlighted, and people are going to be watching what I like to call ready to put pencil to paper. And what I mean by that is they're going to be watching Utah. Are they legit or are they not legit? This is going to give the majority of the country a chance, the impetus to do so and make that judgment, because I think as of right now, some people think they are, some people think they not. Well, you're going to have a primetime game against a team that's evenly matched with Utah, and it means so much to have game day, especially when you're not the big favorite, because sometimes that happens, right? We had that happen at West Virginia a few times where it was great, but the team we were playing against, we were supposed to beat or way favored against. So it's great whenever you're playing against teams evenly matched. There's those nerves you get in your stomach for it, but there's also just what it means to the fan base as a whole. And don't take it for granted that, because they just don't come around like they used to. They used to showcase places like North Dakota State, and now they don't anymore. And that's a shame, because Rice-Eccles is absolutely a bucket list place people should want to go see. And what better place to see it than in prime time?
Yeah, it's a late one. That's what's funny about you have game day at 7 a.m. Local time, Mountain time, and then you're not going to have the game kick off until like 8:15 Mountain time. I will say, misspoke earlier. It's actually the 5th time that Utah's gotten game day, but as I said, like since 2017, came once then, once in 23, and then you get it now again in 25. And like you said, MP2, like it's just sad to me that they don't go up to the North Dakota, South Dakota states anymore. They went to a Big Sky game a couple years ago. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Madison, when they go there, and I love the biggest matchups. I think there's something to be said there. But the best game day atmospheres are the places you go where they don't take it for granted, because they know this might be the only time in their lifetime they get College Game Day on their campus. So many the Georgia students, they'll show up early, bright. It's a yearly tradition, whatever. But so many Georgia fans are like, we don't need to go get game day this year. I went last year. That's not the vibe you're going to get at those smaller venues. And even a place like Utah, where it's like, hey, we got this a couple of years ago. Like, this is far from guaranteed that who knows next time game day is going to come out here. Here's the other thing, MP. Since the new Big 12 formed, this is the first game day appearance that the Big 12 will be the game that's spotlighted, and all the other ones have been SEC. It's crazy to think, since a Utah, BYU, BYU was already in there last time they were spotlighted, but a Utah, ASU, Arizona, Colorado, like since those teams entered, game day hasn't gone to a Big 12 site. This is a massive opportunity for the conference. I love that they're going to be spotlighted in this spot. And I'll even say this, it's great for a school like Cincinnati, who is one of the best stories in college football right now, despite the lack of pump and hype that they get.
There's no doubt about it. And they're a dangerous squad as well. But yeah, they definitely deserve to be spotlighted as well. Those kids have played really well for Cincinnati. And just what a crazy hire at the time, Satterfield. And it makes sense now, because remember, Louisville won 11 games the year after he left. Seems like that team was primed and ready, and he just happened to leave 1 year too soon. And now here he has turned Cincinnati around in a couple of years. So definitely an interesting game for the Utes, but I can't wait to see this game. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I still don't know who I feel like is going to win the game. There's so much that goes into this. So, but yeah, as far as the Big 12 being spotlighted, it's needed. because it just becomes so few and far between, like you said. I really wish we would get more of that, and unfortunately, one good thing about it is I think is at least there's another game day site that's building its way up to catch game day a little bit. I feel like on the Fox show, that one is much more heralded now than it used to be. It used to be nothing. Nobody cared about it. I mean, it was on, you would watch it.
Hasn't even been a thing for 10 years. It's only been a thing for a couple of years now.
Right. And I think the Portnoy thing probably helped a lot. He's similar to what the game day did with McAfee, a guy that's maybe loud, boisterous, opinionated, visionary, all those things they have in common. As far as like obviously Portnoy did what he did with Barstool and everything, and obviously Pat, what he's done in his life is just immense. So I think those things help ratings, and which helps other teams get noticed. But yeah, obviously we know ESPN has all the leverages with the teams they're in bed with. We know that, and unfortunately, the Big 12 suffers for that.
What's great, we're one of them. Like, that's what's funny. Like, we're one of the teams that this conferences they're in bed with, but all they
not
care
as
about
much
is
money
the SEC.
invested in us, right?
No, very true. That's the biggest thing. And it feels like ever since that contract was struck, like there is data to support. Like, they rarely go to other sites outside of the SEC with the occasional just massive matchup with the Big Ten. But it is great that Utah gets this matchup. And obviously, Paul, when we have a guy like Pat McAfee who's on game day, he's a guy who went to West Virginia, so he's a champion of this conference. A couple weeks ago, when they went to Georgia Ole Miss, he was on there saying, and him and his whole team, they came out there for game day. Him and like Witt arm wrestled. It was awesome. Like, they did their show live from there. Like, it's great that one of the men, a panelist up there, is from a Big 12 school, so he continues to hype up and give this conference some love they deserve. And I know, really quick, Paul, for me, like, I just grew up loving and watching College Game Day, and I still watch it every single week. I love all of it. I love the kicking contest. It's going to be great for this Utah team too. They spotlight your university. Drop your predictions in the comments who the guest picker would be. I think it'd be fun to see Post Malone, but I would love to see an Alex Smith up there too. Obviously, Eric Weddle would be another fantastic one. So there's lots of options they could obviously go with in Salt Lake City here, but I just love College Game Day, man. It's like a part of the essential viewing. I think they do a really good job production-wise still. That's why I've been so frustrated that they go to so many SEC, because I think it is such a good product with the analysis that they give, and it's a huge spotlight for the university. But what does College Game Day mean to you?
It means everything, man. I think it's so culturally, it just goes across so many different generations. The same people have been involved for the most part. I mean, you had one early change with the host. You went from Nestler to the guy that does it now, which is, what's his name again?
Well, Chris Fowler briefly too, and then they went to,
I'm not Nestler, Chris Fowler. Sorry.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, I got the name mixed up. But yeah, you go from Fowler to the guy that's doing it now. Obviously, Corso just recently changed out, and other than that, it's been relatively the same. I think the Bear, obviously, I think he Stanford Steve replaced the Bear, but other than that, very few people have changed on that show. I mean, I was going to bring, the thing up with, like, obviously I had some moments with my dad in the past that we had discussed, and some things I wanted to do there with my dad and had promised him someday I would do. And I think that, it means so much to, like, whenever game day happened in 2011 at West Virginia, that was a game day that I never thought it would be the last one I would spend with my dad at. Right. And I just think that's one of those things that people probably take for granted, because it's such a good event to take family to. You can take friends to, you can go by yourself even. It's one of those things that I think people probably take for granted on the whole. Speaking of those changes, by the way, McAfee is actually under a lot of fire for some of the changes he's tried to implement there. So I think they're for the better, but like the kicking competition, like, he's called him out publicly, which is a weird thing because he works for ESPN, but he continues to do so. But I think it's for the better, personally. I do. I like it. I like it a lot. I think he does good things there.
I agree. I watch it more now because of his presence and the energy that he provides. And I can't recommend enough Utah fans. Like, I've only been to game day twice, but I remember both of them. It's such an awesome experience. And while I was a student at Utah, they never came to Utah. So what an awesome opportunity for the students. You got to go out there, make it rowdy, and remind, this isn't even just for Utah, remind everyone who isn't in the SEC, who isn't in the Big Ten, like, remind ESPN how awesome these atmospheres are when you don't just go to the same dang SEC schools every single single year. When you go to a place like Utah, it's actually going to cherish
It's
this.
a showcase.
It's absolutely a showcase. It's an opportunity to showcase this university, and I can't wait to see Utah capitalize it. And I know, MP, you just did a great job talking about how much game day means to you. With Pat McAfee on that desk, West Virginia's getting it sooner than later, too. So I love that.
We would have got it this year had we just not lost to Ohio.
Yeah, yes, you would. And that's the other. And one thing I will say for game day is they actually did want to go to a couple of these other different spots, but there's just been weeks where the team would they wanted to go to Florida State, Miami, ACC matchup, and yes, big brands, but then Florida State falls apart. So some of the reason they've gone to these schools is some of those as well too. What were you gonna say, MP, real quick?
So this gets a little bit deeper into it. It's not a subject for this show, but obviously we all know the rankings are kind of cooked, right? Like, I don't want to say they're cooking the books, but they're basically cooking the books.
Actually,
the SEC bias that's inherent, unfortunately, makes these matchups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What we say? Oh, I might have lost your mic.
I got it back. I got it. If I just touch this mic, it mutes. But like these rankings, like obviously with the SEC, because they're so overly favored, right?
Mm-hmm.
These matchups stay to where they're worth watching for game day. Does that make sense?
It
like
does.
In other words, like when we lost to Ohio, if we were in the SEC, we'd probably still be ranked the next week as to where, and it's not a great example, but what I'm trying to say.
Mac loss, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe not that game, but like with the SEC, like you see teams all the time, they'll lose the next week, they're still ranked in the top 15. So that next week, even though they have one loss and game day may not have went to a Big 12 team that got that same loss, they will to the SEC team because they're just more favored and ranked, right?
Yes.
Every week.
But first, today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our great friends at Game Time. How great is it having college football back? I mean, I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just simply nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is genuinely what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about college football games at the P4 level for under $10. The app is super simple, and you can even see the exact view from your seat before buying. That's right, a panoramic view. All of that and more available with Game Time. And honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've ever bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all caps, no spaces, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.